Hello, good evening. If you are watching me from Nigeria, I want to say good evening to you. If you're actually watching me outside of this country, let me just say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I believe I've been able to cover any of the time zone that you are in currently, right? And this is another interesting moment with Simeon Umar. And today I'll be sharing a very interesting topic, right? Sorry I couldn't come online last week, Saturday. I have a lot of activities that took almost my entire day. And today I promised to be online, irrespective of my busy schedule. And that is why I'm here today. So I want to specially welcome you to another interesting section with me. If today happens to be the first time on this program, let me just briefly introduce myself. My name is Simeon Umar, and I manage a real estate investment company called TLS Limited. And we currently have a property that is selling at Obafemi Owode, which is by title or name of the property, Wealth Land Investment. A lot of people have been asking me why do I call it Wealth Land? But I strongly believe that sometime before you experience something physically, you have to first of all experience it internally or spiritually, or you have to first of all confess it. That is the right word. You have to first of all confess it, and your confession will eventually become your reality. So we are confessing wealth into our life, into our daily activities. So the name is not just unveiled out of usual concepts. It was a product of intentional act, intentional decision. Because whatsoever you confess is what you experience. And this name has actually brought a lot of concepts or initiatives to what I do. And that is why today we will introduce series of teachings and training in connection to wealth creation. And today I'm having this program on YouTube, which is generally called Wealth Life Experience. And under this Wealth Life Experience, I'll be discussing a lot of things about wealth. There are a lot of misconception about how people see wealth, a lot of misinformation about wealth, a lot of wrong ideology, perception, and belief about wealth. I've done a couple of live sessions sharing my deep understanding about what wealth is all about. You can watch some of those videos when time permits. But today I'll be sharing a very interesting topic which I strongly believe you will learn a lot from it. So the topic of my teaching today under wealth life experience is how your emotional, social, and spiritual intelligence can position you for wealth. Yes, how your emotional, social, and spiritual intelligence can position you for wealth. Many people believe that wealth is a function of physical materials, physical assets, tangible assets. Many people don't know that wealth is a product of certain characters, certain attributes that has to do with us personally. And if you don't really understand those attributes, characters, components, you assume that you are poor, or you assume that either something somewhere is responsible for your current situation. A lot of people blame their background as to how and why they remain where they are. But I've been able to debunk this assumption. Your background has nothing to do with your poverty or your wealthy or your wealth experience. Your background has nothing to do with your current position. What is responsible for your current position is the absence of knowledge. And that is why this program is designed in such a way that it will open your mind, it will open your eyes, it will open your spirit soul to certain things that you are not aware of or you don't really understand or you are privy to. This platform is going to simplify a lot of things that may be hindering you from experiencing real wealth. And it has to do with you personally and not your background, not where you came from, not your parents, not your enemies, whatsoever you might have claimed to be responsible for your current status. They are practically not responsible for your current status. You are responsible for your life, for your destiny, and you are responsible for anything and everything you eventually become in life. And that is why I'm taking time to organize this teaching on a regular basis to open your mind, your spirit, and your soul to understand certain things that will take you from where you are to where you want to be. So, world life experience is going to make everything open and to simplify a whole lot of things for you to understand your current position and what to do next, right? So today, I think few about 2 weeks ago, I talked about your background as related to why it is not responsible for your current status. So probably you can watch that YouTube after now. Your background is solid enough to take you from where you are to where you want to be. So don't assume that where you came from are the determinants of your future. That is not really true. I'll be talking about that probably when time permits me. Your background is not an excuse for you to be poor. You're responsible for your current condition. You're responsible for your current situation. Don't hold anybody responsible. So today, like I said, I'll be sharing some of the powerful things you need to know about wealth. Uh, I've always been telling people that wealth are divided into two major components. We have tangible wealth and we have intangible wealth. The intangible wealth is what usually birth the tangible wealth. And one of the intangible wealth is knowledge. You need to acquire knowledge, you need to acquire information, you need to acquire skill. I bought a lot of books this month. This is the second half of the year, and I can't be tired of acquiring knowledge. I spent close to 200,000 just to invest in myself, just to acquire more knowledge, information, and insights. I need to also build my invisible or intangible wealth. And how do I achieve that? By reading books, people's experiences, people ideas, people that have gone through some of the things I'm currently going through and how they're able to escape that period, what they were able to do to scale up from that current condition they were to where they are today. So buying books give me access to people's stories, and it is a form of motivation for me that if these people can achieve this with their background, I can also achieve my own dream. So by understanding their principle, their policies, their habits, the things they do before they attain wealth, these are the things that have also been helping me personally to grow my capacity. So building my intangible wealth will eventually produce a tangible wealth that everybody will see around me. So it starts from within. It is what you have within that will be projected out. You can't give out what you don't have. So acquiring those tangible wealth will help me to bring out value that people will appreciate and pay for, right? So it is the exchange of value, which is also intangible, that will give me the tangible wealth. So if you are watching me or if you are on this session thinking, why have you not really acquired tangible wealth? I will ask you, how much of the intangible wealth have you already acquired? You need to go through that section of acquiring intangible wealth before the tangible wealth can be seen around you. So today, I'll be identifying about three major forms of intelligence that can help you and position you to build wealth. A lot of people have misconstrued or misunderstood the concept of wealth. Like I said, they believe in material wealth, cars, motors, car, houses, land as a component of wealth acquisition. But it's far, far more than that. Wealth is far, far more than that. You can get those wealth in a space of time. But for you to maintain that wealth for generations, let me put it that way, you need to also acquire intangible wealth to understand and know how to manage the tangible wealth. And that is why these three major forms of intelligence are very important to position yourself for wealth. So, for my study, there are different forms of intelligence, over 10 of intelligence, but I will identify at least 10 from my teaching today. And I'm going to be sharing in a greater and in detail. I will be sharing in detail, three major components of intelligence that will position you for wealth. You can find time to read others, but for the purpose of this teaching, I'll be sharing only three. And if you can master these three alone, I can assure you that you are going to experience both tangible and intangible wealth in greater form. I can assure you, if you can practice some of the things that I'll be teaching you in this session, I can assure you that you are going to experience exponential wealth, both physical and intangible. I mean, both physical and invisible wealth, tangible and intangible wealth. So stick around and let me quickly identify these 10 major forms of intelligence. The first one is what I call emotional intelligence. This is the ability to know yourself. By the way, emotion has to do with it is a complex psychological reflection of how we behave, how we respond to things. It is internal stimulus that defines the way we respond to issues that are external or sometimes internal. So emotion it has to do with the state of mind, your ability to respond to what happens around you, your ability to take decisions based on what you are experiencing. And intelligence, in other hand, is your ability to acquire knowledge, your ability to gather wisdom, your ability to apply some of the experience, knowledge, and information you've gathered to make better decisions. That is what intelligence is all about. Action of knowledge and application of those knowledge. Ability to take better decisions that will influence your life positively. That is what intelligence is all about. It also has to do with your ability to predict certain things, ability to predict certain things accurately. If you are saying certain things are going to happen based on the knowledge you've acquired, based on the information you've gathered, based on your experience and understanding, and close to 90 to 100%, those things eventually happen. It is a testament, it is an evidence of your intellectual capacity. So intelligence is your ability to predict the future accurately. Accurately. So now, like I said, there are different categories of intelligence, and I'm going to be identify at least 10 of them. The first one is emotional intelligence, which is your ability to understand yourself, your ability to know who you are, you know what triggers reaction from you. your ability to know why you are getting angry, what makes you happy, what makes you cry, what makes you take decision, what makes you react to certain things. Your ability to know who you are, you understand your spirit, soul, and body. You understand what triggers certain things from you, what takes, what makes you to take actions, right? These are emotional intelligence. You understand who you are, not what people say you are. You know yourself. You know your strength. You know your weakness. You know your limitations. You understand your capacity. You understand your strength. You understand the level of your knowledge and competency and capacity you have. This is who you are, and this is what emotional intelligence is all about. The second one is social intelligence, your ability to understand people and relate with people in a way that will not trigger emotional disconnection or anger. Your ability to build relationship, your ability to maintain relationship, your ability to associate with people without causing any form of issues that would disconnect or separate you from them. Social intelligence is your ability to interpret the things around you, to relate with people, either your family, your friends, your colleague, even to a stranger. This is what emotional intelligence is all about. And it's very important you understand this as a major component for building wealth. The next one is financial intelligence, your ability to understand how to make money and how to spend money, your ability to manage your financial resources, your ability to make proper financial planning, budgeting. This is what financial intelligence is all about. The next one is spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence is very important when it comes to wealth creation. From spiritual intelligence, you will know your spiritual position with your creator, because there is no way you will build wealth without being connected to the spirit. People that are doing blood money, they are trying to also connect wealth to certain thing. They know that it's not about physical, um, it's not physical, it is connected to the spirit. And that is why they do all sorts of things to also acquire wealth spiritually. Some people go to herbalists, some people go to places to pray, to seek God's intervention. A lot of things happens spiritually. And that is why some people they go extra mile to acquire wealth. So your ability to know your God, your ability to have spiritual relationship with your creator has a lot to do with wealth creation. When you are spiritually intelligent, you'll be a man of integrity. You build your character. You build your relationship with God and men. You know your position in the spirit realm. You know the things that you are expected to do and the things that you are not expected to do as a spiritual man. A spiritual man will be a man who has integrity, who is trustworthy, who is faithful, who is loyal, who is consistent, who is disciplined. These are the components that you must demonstrate as somebody who is spiritually intelligent. So when it comes to wealth creation or wealth building, you cannot disconnect yourself from spiritual intelligence. It is very, very important. The next one is artificial intelligence. As we have human intelligence or social intelligence or emotional intelligence, we also have artificial intelligence. The ability to use digital tools. AI is there, Chat GPT is there, robots, robot is there, artificial, um, machine learning is there. We have robots now. So a lot of things, artificial intelligence, technology, they are there. So it's also part of intelligence you also need to understand. And then we have what we call academic intelligence. You can be a good student, but you are not socially intelligent. It is good to attend, to go to school, acquire good education, get good education, attend good schools. Acquisition of academic intelligence gives you necessary tools you need to use to build wealth for yourself. So, apart of acquiring other forms of intelligence, you also need to acquire academic intelligence. There is a way education opens doors for you. If you have good certifications, if you have good intellectual capacity, these are also form of intelligence or pathway to wealth, right? If you have good academic qualification, you can gain, you can build career from your academic intelligence. Yes, and part of the way to build wealth is having good career. So you get career from your academic knowledge or intelligence. So it is very important to understand that. And then we also have digital intelligence, your ability to use all form of digital tools. WhatsApp is also a form of is a component or is a tool of digital intelligence. Using various AI tools, they are parts of the component of digital intelligence. Market intelligence is another form of intelligence that you really need to build wealth. If you are going to organize or set up your own business or company, you also need to understand the market you are going into. For instance, I'm into real estate, and it is very important for me to also understand the market that I'm playing in. There are different categories of real estate investment. It is my ability to understand these different categories and what people are playing in and how I can also position myself to sell my product to them. So it is very important you also have market intelligence in any of your discipline. If you are somebody who study banking and finance and you are in the banking sector, it is very important for you to understand the banking sector. If you're into manufacturing industry, it is important for you to know all those things. If you are into oil and gas, it's important for you to have market knowledge. If you are into um, testers industry, entertainment industry, all these form of markets, various markets intelligences, you need to have good knowledge of those things. And that is why market intelligence is very important. Next one is political intelligence. You also need to understand what works in your country, understand the political terrain in your country. Don't separate yourself. We are all political animals. So your ability to understand the major, let me say, government system that you are practicing in your country. For instance, you are practicing democracy in Nigeria, and election is around the corner. So I also need to understand what kind of politics we practice in Nigeria. It is very important. And then, of course, we have international intelligence, the ability to understand what is happening around your country globally. These things have a way of positioning you for wealth when it comes to making informed decisions. These are the guiding tools you are going to be applying on a regular basis to build wealth. So there are a lot of intelligence, different forms of intelligence that will help you to build wealth. But I'm only focusing my attention, or let me say my teaching, to three, which are very, very important. Out of these 10, you may not know all of them, but there are these major three forms of intelligence that I would recommend. If these are the only one you know, I strongly believe you will, one way or the other, understand the other forms of intelligence. And the first one, from what I have out of these three major intelligence, is emotional intelligence. If you can understand yourself, you can understand your environment. If you understand your environment, you can understand the market. If you can understand the market, you can make better decision. If you can make better decision, you can build wealth, which is our major focus. Like I said, wealth is not about acquiring physical assets alone. It's about you building your intangible wealth, your invisible wealth, which emotional intelligence plays a major role. Now, emotional intelligence is the ability to manage yourself, like I said, and you need to control your emotion, right? While relating effectively with people. Human relation is very, very key when it comes to wealth building. If you cannot relate with people, to be very honest with you, it will be difficult for you to build wealth. Nobody ever built wealth in isolation. Nobody ever built wealth alone. If you do it alone, you will struggle. If you do it alone, you will you will you will you will you will find it difficult to even achieve it. That is the fact. So your ability to control yourself, your emotion, will really go a long way to build sustainable wealth. Make decisions based on wisdom and not emotion. A lot of people have missed many opportunities when it comes to wealth creation because they are making decisions based on an emotion and not based on facts and available data. So please, it is very important to know when and how to make decisions out of emotion. Your ability to do this will go a long way to build wealth. Your ability to understand and handle criticism, because people will criticize your decision, they will criticize your intention, they will criticize your reasons, but you don't need to be too emotional about it. You will get good, positive, and negative feedback. Your ability to manage all of these things has a lot to do with how you build wealth. It is very important. Your ability to delay gratification. There are certain things that are important, but they are not necessary at the moment. I do it a lot. Like I said, I bought a lot of material this month. I will have bought shirts, suits, shoe, and many other material things. But I chose intangible wealth. because I also need to equip myself. I also need to empower myself. I also need to acquire knowledge for me to be well equipped for the wealth that I'm believing God for, right? So it is very important for you to make good decisions. And understanding yourself will really help you to make better decisions. So many people lose wealth because of anger. Many people lose wealth because of emotion. Many people lose wealth because of impatience, out of fear, greed. And normally, if you really understand yourself and you are intelligent enough, there are certain things you shouldn't allow to happen to you. You will discipline yourself not to take some decisions because you are emotionally intelligent. You consider a lot of variables before you come to a conclusion when people present things to you. So many people have lost a lot of opportunities because they can't really handle their emotion. When somebody gets you angry, you just throw everything off the hook, right? You you behave overboard. You throw caution into the air or into the wind. Many people will eventually regret their actions later because they've allowed emotion to override their judgment. So it is very important for you to understand yourself, how to handle challenges, how to handle complex issues in an uncertainty environment. So emotional intelligence will guide you through the process of making the right decision. It is very important for you to understand this. The next one is social intelligence. Social intelligence, like I said, is your ability to relate with people, your ability to interpret people's emotion, your ability to build trust, your ability to manage other people. That is what social intelligence is all about. If you want to build wealth, you need to also build people around you. Everything we are looking for in this life are in the people. If you are looking for opportunity, you will find it in people. If you are looking for money, you will find it in people. If you are looking for joy, it is in people. If you are looking for wealth, it is in people. If you are looking for success, it is in people. When you have problems, people can help you to solve it. And if you have value that you want to deliver, it is the people that will buy those values from you. So if you are not socially intelligent, it will be difficult for you to share or sell your vision. I have enjoyed a lot of things because of my social intelligence. A lot of things that will have cost me millions of naira. I've been able to get it at a cheaper rate or at zero cost. Why? Because I have built my social intelligence. Social capital is very key. A lot of people are losing money because they don't have social capital. Social intelligence is pathway to wealth, right? So you need to build trust and credibility. Communicate effectively. These are the tools for wealth building. I have what I call investment book, the one that people call Holy Bible, investment book. And there is a fascinating story that I read from that investment book. And that was a story of Joseph. You will agree with me that Joseph had a wealthy background, but it got to a point he was sold into slavery. So his background was turned to zero or poor, from wealthy family to a slavery. You will agree with me that he has every reason to remain poor for his entire life. But because he has a different mindset, he was sold into slavery. And from that slavery, he was even thrown into prison. But do you know what really helped Joseph throughout his journey? His social intelligence. He has what I call academic intelligence. He has skill. And one of his skills was the ability to interpret dreams, right? That is one of his skills. And it's also a form of emotional intelligence. He can understand his own personal ability, the ability to interpret dreams, and for people to come to him, associate with him, build relationship with him is also a component of social intelligence, right? When he got to Potiphar's house, from what we read from what I read from the investment book, his master made him the head of his entire house. And because of him, God really blessed his master. And that talks about spiritual intelligence, which is the last point I'm going to be talking about. But let me just stick with social intelligence first. When Joseph was working with Potiphar, his master made him the head of his entire house. And I strongly believe before his master came to that conclusion, he must have seen how Joseph has built his social intelligence with his colleagues that are working with him. Because I strongly believe there are many people or many servants that this man has. It got to a point that even the wife began to entice Joseph to sleep with her. It's also a form of social intelligence. If Joseph has not been behaving nicely to the wife of his master, I strongly believe the wife will never have that guts or temerity to approach Joseph to sleep with him. So Joseph really demonstrated three major intelligence. Emotional intelligence, he know himself because he said, why will I do this such a thing and sin against God? He has wisdom. He has knowledge. He's a man of integrity. He said he can't sin against his master, and not even his master, is God. That means he has good spiritual relationship with his God. And if you are somebody that demonstrates this major component of intelligence, you will know what to do at any given time. So Joseph demonstrated his emotional intelligence, his social intelligence, and spiritual intelligence in within a scenario because he must have built a good relationship with his master, good relationship with his master's wife, and good relationship with other staff. And that made him the head of the house. Now, when his master's wife did everything possible to entice Joseph to have a sexual affair with her, he denied her, and that actually sent him to jail. And it didn't end there. When he got into jail, the head of the prisoner, like the head of that section, made Joseph the leader again. Joseph behaved himself in a good manner when he got to the prison, despite the fact that the sin he was accused of, he didn't commit it. But he didn't just behave badly. He conducted himself wisely, despite the fact that he was thrown into prison. That means he has demonstrated a lot of intelligence, even while he was in the prison. And because of his ability, because of the skill he has, ability to interpret the dreams, that's for me is academic intelligence, IQ. intellectual quotient. So he has intellectual capacity to understand, to hear dream or have a dream and interpret it. That is the level of intellectual capacity that he has, right? I call it academic intelligence, though. So your ability to interpret and make good use of your knowledge, application of your knowledge, that makes you intelligent, right? So Joseph demonstrates high level of intelligence when he was in the prison. And one fateful day, two staff of Pharaoh had dream. And let me be very honest with you. If Joseph has not demonstrated social intelligence, these people wouldn't have contacted him when they had their dreams. They will have just be they will have been on their own. They will have decided that since we don't know who to probably reach out to interpret our dreams, let's just keep it to ourselves. But Joseph has built social intelligence around these people. So when this staff of Pharaoh had dream, they came to Joseph for interpretation. And mind you, Joseph must have shown build relationship around these people. Because I can't just walk up to somebody and begin to tell him my story if such person has not demonstrated some level of good relationship. So probably Joseph would have interpreted several dreams before he eventually interpreted this to them. And they must have seen it in his life, right? I am very sure that was not the first dream that these people must have shared with Joseph. We only read the one that took him to the palace, right? So when they had dream, they shared their dream with Joseph, and Joseph gave them perfect interpretation. And when Joseph has given them interpretation, it happened to them the same way Joseph has interpreted their dreams. And Joseph told the one that will be restored back to his position that when you get to the palace, please remember me. Can you see how social intelligence has taken Joseph from prison to palace? It is called social intelligence, your ability to relate and build relationship around people, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their status. See finish is not recognized when it comes to social intelligence. You don't see people finish because anybody can amount to anything. And that is why I don't look down on people except I want to admire your shoe. So when it comes to social intelligence, you don't have barrier. You respect human being, irrespective of their current status. Because to somebody you are looking down on today might be the person that will help you tomorrow. Even if you have enough, that doesn't mean that you have everything. You will still need people, except you are not ready to build wealth for yourself. So Joseph understand how to build social relationship, how to demonstrate social intelligence. He told the man that will be restored back to his position to remember him when he get to the palace. And when time came, when Pharaoh had a dream, this same man remembered him. I totally disagree with the assumption that this guy really forgot Joseph. I don't agree with that concept. Because for me, as a servant who is serving in the palace, you can't just go to your master and tell him to take somebody out of the prison, knowing fully well that the person that thrown him in the prison is also a staff of Pharaoh. And that man must be in high authority. So a servant cannot just take Joseph out of prison because it was the head, let me put it that way, head of staff, for instance, probably was the one that threw Joseph into prison. So when they are now restoring one of the management staff back to his position, he can't really take Joseph out of prison. It will take divine intervention to get Joseph out of prison. And that was why the Pharaoh had a dream. And when Pharaoh had that dream, this staff that was reinstalled, remember how he got back to his position. And then this time around, he has confidence to go and meet his master and said, "Hello, sir. When I was in a prison, I and the late colleague of mine had a dream. And there was this man who interpreted our dream. And it was exactly what he told us that happened. My other colleague was eliminated and I was restored. Permit me, sir, to invite this same man to come and interpret your dream. And I strongly believe that whatsoever he tells you, that is exactly what is going to happen." Right? And let me also say something. Joseph must have understood how things work in the palace as part of social intelligence. Before he presented himself to Pharaoh, he has also gone to package himself, right? He shave his hair, look good, get good perfume, wear good shirts, good shoe, everything. He also presented himself in a very good manner because the way you appear matters a lot. So he must have asked some questions how he's going to present himself for Pharaoh. Because if he has presented himself just as a prisoner, Pharaoh may probably chase him back and say, "Who is this? Is the kind of person you want to interpret my dream? As worthy as I am, looking at my position, how will you bring this such person to come and interpret my dream?" So Joseph also went to look good. He prepared himself in a very presentable way. And when he got to Pharaoh's palace, he was able to interpret the dream. And he was not also greedy, stating that I can do this, I can do this. He was emotionally intelligent. He said, "King, may you live long. Appoint people that can actually handle this responsibility." He didn't throw himself as an offer. And having interpreted the dream, he also made some recommendations to the king. And king said, "For you to have interpreted this dream accurately, you'll be in charge of this assignment." And that was how he was appointed. See how social intelligence has elevated a prisoner into the palace. Social intelligence is very, very key when it comes to wealth creation or building wealth. Emotional intelligence is very key. When Joseph had issue with former master, he didn't react out of proportion. He didn't try to kill his master. He didn't try to argue with his master. Of course, what arguments is he going to make? You are a servant. You have nothing to claim as a right. What if the master decides to kill him? That would be the end of his dream. That would be the end of his career. But the master was kind enough to throw him into prison until proven not guilty or guilty, whichever way. So out of that, in fact, if Joseph has not demonstrated some level of emotional and social intelligence, his master may probably decide to execute him because he's a slave. So who will come and challenge me if I kill him at that spot? Of course, the other staff of Pharaoh that had dream, was killed, and nobody could challenge Pharaoh. Nobody could challenge Pharaoh. But this time around, he was thrown to the prison, and from prison, he was invited to interpret Pharaoh's dream. And from there, he became the prime minister. People are very important in any journey to wealth creation. Don't underrate people around you. The people you know today might be the people that will take you to the next level. I've enjoyed social intelligence. The first set of people that bought property from me are the people in my circle. If they don't trust me, if they don't believe in me, if they don't know me as a man of integrity, if they don't know me as somebody with discipline, if they don't know me as somebody who pay attention to details, if they don't know me as somebody who has high tolerance for discipline, they won't do business with me. So social intelligence is very, very important. And lastly, because of my time, spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence will give you everything you need to know or everything you need to do to build sustainable wealth. Let me read what I have here for my spiritual intelligence. It says, spiritual intelligence helps you to understand purpose, values, and principle that guide your decision in life. Spiritual intelligence will help you to understand your purpose. It will help you to know the kind of value you should deliver to people. It will help you to know the kind of principles you should demonstrate on a regular basis. It will help you to make right decisions in life. So you can't downplay the role of spiritual intelligence. When I'm talking about spiritual intelligence, I'm not talking about prayer. I'm talking about how to build your self-worth, how to build your self-esteem, how to build character, how to build good reputation, how to build your intangible skills, right? How to interact with people in a good conduct. This is what spiritual intelligence is all about. Is spiritual intelligence provide the foundation upon which emotional and social intelligence strive. What do I say again? Spiritual intelligence help you to build. Spiritual intelligence helps you to build character. It helps you to build your personal and social intelligence. It helps you to harness everything together and form a sound foundation and build a sound foundation for wealth. With your spiritual intelligence, you will know the kind of places you will go and the kind of places you will not go. With your spiritual intelligence, you will know the kind of business you will do. With your spiritual intelligence, you will know that you are not supposed to steal other people's money to build wealth. With spiritual intelligence, you will know that contentment with God is a great reward. Spiritual intelligence will know that it is God that gave you power to make wealth. So it is highly important for you to demonstrate or have what I call spiritual intelligence. You may have knowledge, you may have skill, but if you don't demonstrate spiritual intelligence, it will be difficult for you to maintain good wealth. It will be difficult for you to build sustainable wealth. So spiritual intelligence is your ability to discover your purpose, what Almighty God has created you to accomplish in this life can only be revealed when your spiritual intelligence is intact. It is very important to build spiritual intelligence. Money is attracted to value. Money is attracted to spiritual intelligence. Your ability to demonstrate all this intelligence will help you to build wealth, sustainable wealth, and transferable wealth, and even transgenerational wealth. As you are building physical wealth, you also need to build the invisible wealth, because these are the things that will help you to build what I call everlasting wealth. Yes, wealth is transgenerational, and your ability to maintain and build good intelligence will go a long way to build sustainable wealth, right? So, having shared these three major uh, intelligence, I want you to begin to practice at least three of these form of intelligence that I've shared with you today. They will go a long way. They will go a long way to guide you through your wealth seeking journey, right? Because these are the things that the people we know today understand. And that is why they have been able to build sustainable wealth for themselves and for their own generation. It is highly important for you to have at least these three major forms of intelligence when it comes to wealth creation. As I'll be rounding up, your wealth will give you rest of mind if you know how to demonstrate this key form of intelligence. If you develop your emotional intelligence, if you develop your social intelligence, if you develop your spiritual intelligence, they will give you wealth in abundance. They will give you wealth that will give you strength, rest of mind. When these three dimensions of intelligence grow together, wealth become not just something you earn, but something you are positioned to sustain and multiply. When these three forms of intelligence grows in your life together, wealth become not just something you earn, but something that will position to sustain you and multiply for life. These three major components are very important. Yes, others are okay, others are important, no doubt. But if you can master these three major forms of intelligence, I can assure you, you are going to build wealth in abundance. If these three major invisible wealths are well understood and take action on them regularly, just give yourself 5 years. You have enough wealth and you will have it in abundance. So, this is what I have to share to you today. I believe you will learn one or two things from this. Until next week, when I come your way for another interesting topic, I want to, as a matter of fact, to begin to practice or study these major forms of intelligence. And I strongly believe they are going to deliver to you the material wealth that you are looking for. Thank you, and God bless you.